Well, first of all, thanks for being here with us, Daphnos. Well, you're an animator and director, and you're working in Dreamworks Animation Studios for more than 20 years, right?
A little less, like getting close to 20
So
years.
the career is like 20 years of animator career.
Yeah, as an animator, even longer than 20 years, yeah.
Can you tell us all the movies that you recall that you worked in as an animator?
Well, I worked on some of the Shrek movies, some of the Madagascar movies, Megamind, Trolls, some of the Trolls movies. I just touched a bit of Kung Fu Panda on this last one that we're working on. I'm missing stuff. Guardians, I mean, I'm missing a bunch of movies, but a lot of them. I didn't work on, it's almost easier to remember the ones I didn't work on. I didn't work on How to Train Your Dragon. I would have loved to work on it, but I didn't line up. But yeah, those are some names that I worked on, some of the movies that I worked on.
Wow, that's such big titles. And can you tell us a bit about what was your work there as, in Dreamworks? Like, where can we see your work in the movies that you just mentioned?
Well, for example, like just to give you one easy example, on one of the Madagascars, in the third Madagascar, I was the supervisor for the villain. It was this French lady called Dubois, and it's this like very evil lady that wants to capture all the animals. So that's one example that I worked on a lot of the shots with her. I also was one of the lead animators for Megamind, for the character Megamind. So there is a little bit of a trend here. I generally am good at villains. Maybe I'm a villain, but I generally get cast on villains, and I work a lot with villains. So those are a couple of examples.
Can you speak about what's the process for when you have an idea, whether it's created a scene or a character such as villain? What takes you from point A, like I have this idea for this character, to what the audience sees in the scene?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously working on one of these big animation movies in a big studio is like this collaborative effort with so many people, right? So I think in my case, the work that I do generally is never one person that is creating a character, which I think it adds quite a bit to the characters we create. Because it's not just one person's view of that character, it's a number of animators that are all contributing and generally happens to create a very interesting character. So for us in the beginning, the directors have obviously very clear ideas for the characters. There's a script that already gives you quite a bit of information of those characters. And generally you just collaborate with a lot of other animators and just kind of brainstorm what kind of mannerisms, how is the character going to move? How is the character going to talk? And obviously the voice talent as well bring a lot to the table when they record the voice and you hear it. Especially in the beginning of production, we hear their voices all the time. We just keep playing them and kind of getting a sense of what could work. We also use a lot of, sometimes if it fits the character, whoever is doing the voice for the character, the actor that is doing the voice for the character, will watch a lot of their movies, right? And find the movies that are like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that character have a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And then we generally create these kind of fun demo reels with clips that we think work for the character. And then slowly and through this process of collaboration, we kind of come up with the character.
And speaking of collaboration and, like you said, that a lot of people working together to create something, what would you say were the lessons that you learned from a 20-year career and working at Dreamworks Studio as a creative person?
Well, there's a few, right? Like I think one of them obviously, which is, if that one is kind of a given, but obviously to do this kind of work, you got to be very passionate about what you do. It's not just a job, it does become part of you, we're lucky to be able to work on an environment like that and a company where you feel like it's not just your job, it's kind of a part of yourself. But with that, it comes the problem, I would say, or sometimes it's not a problem, it's normal, but sometimes you get so connected to your work that you never separate from your work. So I think one valuable lesson that I definitely learned with the years, which maybe won't apply to very junior animators, but people who start on the industry and have a job and they're working, is being able to separate your job from your life, right? So when the day ends, you're able to disconnect a little bit and kind of like, because obviously we use life so much as animators or filmmakers really as reference for movies. So I think you need that time to disconnect and see the world and live your life in order to bring that creativity back. That's one that I think could be useful.
Yeah, it's like a process, taking the work life from your life as a person.
Yeah.
And I heard that's what you do. I mean, when you're not being an animator in Dreamworks, you do short films.
Yeah.
And obviously Frank and Emmet.
Yeah.
Right. Can you tell us what's behind the story? What did you want to show the audience with that sweet short film?
Yeah, well, I think for me, the first thing, I always want to do animated short films, but obviously it takes so much time sometimes that I had this idea in my head that fit perfectly for a live action short film, which is a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but it's a lot faster, We shot the whole short film in just 2 days. So, you can do it quick. In animation, it wouldn't be like forever. but the idea comes from this being an artist, and my profession is, creating characters. So you create characters, and these characters kind of become part of yourself a little bit, because you work with them, you animate them, you write the lines that they say, so it becomes kind of part of yourself. So in a way, I found this idea of being able to have a conversation with your passion, with your work, something that was very interesting in my mind. So then I wrote the script about this idea, which was a puppeteer that is getting near the end of his life. So he wants to tell his creation, his puppet, the truth about why is he there and how he became what it is right now, right? So that was kind of like the spark for this idea.
That's so sweet. I haven't seen it yet, but I wanted to.
Good. Yeah, bring tissues. Maybe some people have a cry a little bit when they watch it. Yeah.
I want to see it. And as a member of the Academy, what can you tell us about the process of how the Oscar works? Like you do a movie, a short film, a documentary, whatever. What is like the process for getting shortlists, nominations, and then all the way?
Well, it's a big process for sure. Like I think in my case, I'm a member of the Academy, which means I have the chance to watch the films that apply for it, and the ones that are selected, and then being able to vote who's the one who wins. There's obviously a lot of members in the Academy, but in terms of how you get into the Academy, well, I don't know all the rules and everything, obviously, because I'm just a member. They have a lot of that on their website. But generally, the festival have to do the short film that have to do good in festivals, and there is different ways to go in. There is one way which you win a certain specific festivals that will make you eligible to be part of the selection of films. But also you can, if your short film is screened in a theater and a certain amount of time, it's another way of getting, at least that was last year, I don't know if nothing changed. And there's a few other ways to go in. And then you get into this long list of sorts, and then the voting begins, and eventually you get into the short list, and then to nomination. And my role and the role of all the Academy members is watching a lot. Yeah, I mean, you have to try to watch as many as possible, right? In order to vote, right? You have to watch especially when it goes to when it's a shorter list and the nominations, you watch them all, right? But yeah, watch all the films and then just kind of you kind of vote and see what happens.
Wow, that's such impressive. Well, just to finish, I've been told that you're right now in an interesting and very big project. What can you tell us about it?
Oh, you mean at Dreamworks? Or outside? No, I mean, the projects that I'm going to work at Dreamworks, I can't say what they are yet. When I'm coming back home, I was coming back to the US tomorrow actually, and I start working on some new projects that have not been announced, so I can't say yet. But personally, I'm working on a lot of, I'd say, smaller projects, and I'm really interested in working, like the new media, right? Like meaning TikTok, Instagram, social media, that's such a it's a big place to find an audience that I don't think big studios looked at that much, because they're used to making features and movies in a specific way. But I think there's a giant audience in this, like in the social media, TikTok, Instagram, and all the shorter format. So I personally been exploring that side of things on my spare time,
Like another world, of cinema.
Yeah, it's another world of cinema. At the end of the day, I think these days in animation, what you're really looking to do is find an audience, right? You want to find an audience, and it's a huge audience. If we talk about TikTok or Instagram, there's a huge audience there of a younger generation that really like those kind of. So I've been exploring that a lot. Again, it's not connected to Dreamworks. It's my personal project, and I've been working on a little project that it's just a character called Terry Benson, and it's kind of a CG puppet character. It's a combination, but he's basically he's an interdimensional reporter. So each episode he goes to a new dimension and talks to some weird, strange characters. So it's kind of fun. It's an explorational thing, and it's very, very current and following trends that happen on TikTok and other platforms, and being able to collaborate with other creators within those platforms. So it's a very current, new kind of way of doing animation. So I'm pretty excited about those kind of projects.
Well, and congratulations for all your career, all the recent projects, and thank you for being with me today.
Thank you so much.